today we're going to review slope-intercept form and how to graph linear equations. The main thing with slope-intercept form that I want to remind you, what does m represent in y equals mx plus b? The slope. And slope is always rise over run. So you move up and down first and then left or right to find more points on your line. B is your y-intercept. And I also want you to include in your notes that your y-intercept is 0, b. So your y-intercept is the point 0, something, and that's where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's start really ridiculously easy. Our b, our y-intercept is -1. That would be the point 0, -1. So find the point 0, -1. Or -1 on the y-axis. Make sure that you're starting 1 down from the origin. Then our slope is 4. A slope of 4 means up 4, right 1. So up 4, right 1. 3, 4. You need about 3 points to get a really accurate line. If you just have 2 points, it's just not quite as accurate as it could be. And then remember that your student IDs are a great straight edge that you can use to make a nice, pretty straight line on your graph. Number 2, let's talk briefly about negative slopes. First of all, we're starting at our y-intercept of 5. That would be the point 0, 5. Everyone take a moment and look at where my y-intercept point is drawn and compare that to yours. Make sure that you have yours in the correct place. Okay. Our slope is -2/7. If we move down 2, how do we move side to side? Right 7. This negative in front of the 2 is taken care of when we move down. You don't want to use the negative twice. If you moved down and left, you'd be using the negative twice, and that would become a positive. So down 2, right 7. Okay. We don't have enough room to go down 2 and right 7 again, so we can reverse the slope. We can basically do 2 over -7. So this time it's up 2 and left 7. This time the negative is used on the bottom. So from our original starting point, up 2, left 7. And then draw in your line. Oops, that one wasn't very good. Neither was that one. Okay, so basically what we just did is what you're going to do in the next 2 problems, and for that reason we are going to skip example 4 because I don't think we need it. Number 3, first of all, identify your y-intercept. In this equation, the y-intercept is -2. I want you to write down 0, -2. On your assignment, it is going to ask you to write the y-intercept as an ordered pair. So make sure you get that 0, -2. And our slope is 3/4, up 3, right 4. In number 5, we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. So, what is the slope for number 5?
0.
Not 0.
1.
1. It's the number in front of the x, so it's a 1. Our y-intercept, let's write it as an ordered pair. Y-intercepts are always 0, something. What is being added to the x right there? Nothing, so 0, 0. Now let's go talk about number 8. We're going to jump around a little bit. What is the slope for number 8?
1.
0. So this shows you when is the slope 0, when is the slope 1. This one, you could rewrite this as y equals 0x plus 7. 0 times x is 0. It makes that whole term go away. So our slope is 0. You might also recognize that this is a horizontal line, hoi, and a horizontal line always has a slope of 0. What is the y-intercept for this horizontal line? 0, 7. Number 6, what do we need to do before we can identify the slope in the y-intercept? Get the y by itself. So let's subtract 2x. 3y equals, we could write 12 minus 2x. I'm going to write it negative 2x plus 12, just to make it look more like mx plus b. Then divide everything by 3. And then we can identify that our slope is negative 2/3. And our y-intercept is 0, 4. Okay, if you are good at rearranging equations, you could take problems like 11 and 12 further down in your notes and just rearrange it and get y by itself. But there is a quicker way, graphing standard form using your x and your y intercepts. So let's take a moment. We're going to skip number 10. Let's look at number 9. First, we are going to graph the x-intercept. The x-intercept is 4. This line is going to cross the x-axis at 4. What are the coordinates of that point?
4, 0.
4, 0. Okay. Now let's graph the y-intercept. The y-intercept, negative 2, that's where we cross the y-axis. What are the coordinates of that point?
0, 0, 2.
0, negative 2. I want you to notice where the zeros are. For the x-intercept, the 0 is in the y-coordinate. For the y-intercept, the 0 is in the x-coordinate. I want you to notice that the 0 is in the other letter. That's going to help us with number 11. Oh, what would we need to do to finish this off? We'd need to draw the line through those 2 points. In number 11, we need to first find the x-intercept. To find the x-intercept, we know that this point is going to be something, comma, 0. So we're going to use that 0 to help us find what that x-coordinate is. If I plug 0 in here, 2x minus 0 equals 6. Minus 0, that's just gone. We basically have 2x equals 6. So what is x? 3. Our x-intercept is at 3. Now for the y-intercept. Y-intercepts are always 0, comma, something. So we're going to put 0 in place of our x. 2 times 0 is 0. So we're left with negative y equals 6, which means that positive y is negative 6. So do you see like the kind of cover-up game that we have here? To find the x-intercept, you basically ignore the y, and you have 2x equals 6. To get the y-intercept, you cover up the x. You have negative y equals 6. That gives you your 2 intercepts. You can easily graph those and draw the line in that matches them. So try number 12 on your own. If you're watching the video, pause the video, give this a try on your own. Find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept, see if you can plot them and draw the line in between. For your x-intercept, you basically just cover up your y, and you have 2x equals negative 9. So x equals negative 4.5. To find your y-intercept, you basically cover up your x. Negative 3y equals negative 9, so your y-intercept is 3. For some reason, I wrote negative 3 here, but then I graphed it correctly. So our y-intercept is 0, positive 3. There we go.